This is your first interview since Attorney General Holder named a prosecutor to investigate possible CIA abuses of terror detainees. What do you think of that decision?
I think it's a terrible decision. President Obama made the announcement some weeks ago that this would not happen, that his administration would not go back and look at or try to prosecute CIA personnel. And the effort now is based upon the Inspector General's report that was sent to the Justice Department 5 years ago. It was completely reviewed by the Justice Department in years past. They made decisions about whether or not there was any prosecutable offense there. They found one. It did not involve CIA personnel. It involved contractor personnel. That individual was sentenced and is doing time. The matter has been dealt with the way you would expect it to be dealt with by professionals. Now we've got a political appointee coming back and supposedly without the approval of the president going to do a complete review or another complete investigation, possible prosecution of CIA personnel. We could talk the whole program about the negative consequences of that, about the terrible precedent it sets to have agents involved, CIA personnel involved in a difficult program that's approved by the Justice Department, approved by the National Security Council in the Bush administration, and then when a new administration comes in, it becomes political. They may find themselves dragged up before a grand jury, have to hire attorneys on their own because the Justice Department won't provide them with counsel. It's a terrible, terrible precedent.
There are a lot of aspects that you just raised. Let me review some of them. Why are you so concerned about the idea of one administration reviewing, investigating the actions of another one?
Well, you think, for example, in the intelligence arena. We ask those people to do some very difficult things, sometimes that put their own lives at risk. They do so at the direction of the president. They do so with in this case, we had specific legal authority from the Justice Department. And if they are now going to be subject to being investigated and prosecuted by the next administration, nobody's going to sign up for those kinds of missions. It's a very, very devastating, I think, effect that it has on morale inside the intelligence community. If they assume that they're going to have to be dealing with the political consequences, and it's clearly a political move, I mean, there's no other rationale for why they're doing this, then they'll be very reluctant.
You think this was a political move, not a law enforcement move?
Absolutely. I think the fact is the Justice Department has already reviewed the Inspector General's report 5 years ago. And now they're dragging it back up again, and Holder is going to go back and review it again, supposedly to try to find some evidence of wrongdoing by CIA personnel. But in other words, a review is never going to be final anymore now. We can have some future administration come along 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and go back and rehash all of these decisions by an earlier administration.
Let me follow up on that. The Attorney General says this is a preliminary review, not a criminal investigation. It is just about CIA officers who went beyond their legal authorization. Why don't you think it's going to stop there?
I don't believe it. We had the President of the United States, President Obama, tell us a few months ago there wouldn't be any investigation like this, that there would not be any look back at CIA personnel who were carrying out the policies of the prior administration. Now they get a little heat from the left wing of the Democratic Party, and they're reversing course on that. The President is the chief law enforcement officer in the administration. He's now saying, well, this isn't anything that he's got anything to do with. He's up on vacation in Martha's Vineyard, and his Attorney General is going back and doing something that the President said some months ago they wouldn't do.
But when you say it's not going to stop there, you don't believe it's going to stop there. Do you think this will become an investigation into the Bush lawyers who authorized the activity, into the top policymakers who were involved in the decision to have an enhanced interrogation program?
Well, I have no idea whether it will or not. But it shouldn't. The fact of the matter is the lawyers in the Justice Department who gave us those opinions had every right to give us the opinions they did. Now you get a new administration, they say, well, we didn't like those opinions. We're going to go investigate those lawyers and perhaps have them disbarred. I just think it's an outrageous precedent to set to have this kind of I think, intensely partisan, politicized look back at the prior administration. I guess the other thing that offends the hell out of me, frankly, Chris, is we had a track record now of 8 years of defending the nation against any further mass casualty attacks from al-Qaeda. The approach of the Obama administration should be to come to those people who were involved in that policy and say, how did you do it? What were the keys to keeping the country safe over that period of time? Instead, they're out there now threatening to disbar the lawyers who gave us the legal opinions, threatening, contrary to what the president originally said, they're going to go out and investigate the CIA personnel who carried out those investigations. I think it's an outrageous political act that will do great damage long-term to our capacity to be able to have people take on difficult jobs, make difficult decisions without having to worry about what the next administration is going to say.
If the prosecutor, the Obama administration, you put out the statement saying that you were upset that President Obama allowed the Attorney General to bring these cases. A top Obama official says, hey, maybe in the Bush White House they told the Attorney General what to do, but Eric Holder makes independent decisions.
Well, I think if you look at the Constitution, the President of the United States is the chief law enforcement officer in the land. The Attorney General is a statutory officer. He's a member of the Cabinet. The President's the one who bears this responsibility. And for him to say, gee, I didn't have anything to do with it, especially after he sat in the Oval Office and said this wouldn't happen. Then Holder decides he's going to do it, so now he's backed off and is claiming he's not responsible. I think he's trying to duck the responsibility for what's going on here, and I think it's wrong.
Now that he's been in office for 7 months, what do you think of Barack Obama?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his when he got elected, and my views haven't changed any. I have serious doubts about his policies, serious doubts especially about the extent to which he understands and is prepared to do what needs to be done to defend the nation.
Now, he has stepped up the use of the Predator drones against al-Qaeda. He has continued rendition. Right. Aren't there some things you support that he's done?
Sure. Some of those things have been the use of the Predator drone, something we started very aggressively in the Bush administration. Marrying up the intelligence platform with weapons, something we started in August of 2001. It's been enormously successful. And they were successful the other day in killing Batula Massoud, which I think all of those are pluses. But my concern is that the damage that will be done by the President of the United States going back on his word, his promise, about investigations of CIA personnel who've carried out those policies is seriously going to undermine the morale, if you will, of our folks out at the agency.